I want to address some pretty big and pretty upsetting EA news, and my goal here is not to fearmonger. I just want to talk through some of my feelings on it. Most of you have probably seen this by now because it's a major news story, but EA just announced a deal to sell to private investors for $55 billion. So right now, EA is publicly traded, and once this deal goes through, they'll be a privately held company. And these private investors are, to put it bluntly, really bad. It's Affinity Partners, which is Jared Kushner's private investment firm. Jared Kushner is married to Ivanka Trump, who is Donald Trump's daughter. The PIF, which is the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia. This is the country's sovereign wealth fund. And also Silver Lake. So these are some extremely conservative groups, and obviously that is a huge cause for concern. I posted some thoughts on this yesterday on my other social medias, but I decided that I wanted to talk about it here too, because I know not everybody would have seen that. But this is genuinely distressing to me. Like, I have been losing sleep over this since it was first rumored over the weekend. It makes me deeply worried about the future of The Sims with EA now being owned by such a conservative group. And to be clear, the deal has not gone through yet, but it is expected to be completed in the first quarter of the 2027 fiscal year. And I know that is confusing wording, but different companies operate with different fiscal years. For EA, the first quarter of the 2027 fiscal year is actually summer 2026, so next year. The deal still has to be voted on by EA shareholders, but if it goes through, that's when it would happen. This is an unprecedented and record-breaking $55 billion sale. This has never happened before in gaming, and it's financed by $20 billion in debt that EA would carry. So one of the big concerns here is that the new owners will have to really prioritize paying off that debt quickly, and that could result in a really heavy push toward even more microtransactions in their games. It could mean layoffs for EA employees and downsizing and restructuring, and it could also mean major budget cuts and tighter deadlines on future projects. So just as an example, and I don't know this, I'm kind of just like guessing, theorizing, this might result in like a bunch of in-game transactions in The Sims 4, think like Sims 3 store vibes, and maybe a complete gutting of that Project Renee stuff that they're working on, or maybe they push them to release Project Renee earlier than intended with major budget cuts, so it ends up being a lot worse than it was supposed to be. Investors like these are also really interested in AI, especially when it comes to using AI to cut costs. So something else that deeply worries me is the potential to replace artists with AI generation, possibly the AI generation of assets for the game. The loss of real human artists to AI is sickening to me. I think it's soulless, and I think it would ruin the game. And bear in mind, we don't know any of these concerns to be true. This is all just speculation, but this kind of just is what happens with these sort of private deals. It's not like it's unfounded. They are very reasonable worries. And I think an even bigger concern is that The Sims has been a very inclusive game for a very, very long time. And it horrifies me to think of them rolling back that progress or somehow censoring the game. I think that making a change like that would alienate the entire player base of The Sims. We would stop playing this game. And I think it would be an incredibly stupid and short-sighted move from the new investors that would backfire heavily. I'm telling myself this because my mind instantly goes to worst case scenario, right? So I'm trying to listen to people that are smarter than me and like be more realistic about this. And I also think that to make any changes like that to the existing content of The Sims 4 would be extremely expensive and therefore just not really something they would do. Obviously, again, we don't know this, but these people are buying EA because they think it's going to make them a lot of money. So all of their decisions are motivated by money. And I think that to make the Sims game less diverse would be a catastrophically bad decision. Does that mean they won't do it? Who knows? I mean, I'm not Jared Kushner, so I couldn't tell you what his intentions are. But I do think his intention is to make money off of this, and so he wouldn't spend money to then lose money. And I actually don't think these investors are buying EA because they care about The Sims at all. They care about Battlefront and all of the EA Sports titles. That's why they're making this purchase. We're kind of just along for the ride. In these kind of deals, it's also possible that they might decide to break apart the company and sell off individual titles. So there is a world where Maxis and The Sims could be sold to a different game company. I think that maybe that would be a best case scenario for us, but it depends who the game would get sold to. It does help that The Sims is very successful, and frankly, it's a cash cow. We buy loads of packs and they make loads of money off of us. And I know that everybody who works on The Sims is just as horrified, if not more horrified than we are. I mean, imagine you go to work one day and all of a sudden surprise announcement that Jared Kushner owns your company. And then you also have to fear for your job at the same time. Oh, it's horrible. And this also raises the moral dilemma of, do we want to continue playing and supporting a game that is owned by such awful people? And EA's been bad. Like, that part's not new. This is a new kind of bad, but it's not like EA was a good company before yesterday. But this is where I have been really struggling. The Sims is my entire life. It's my livelihood. It's my hobby. It's my name. My last name is Sims. My name is Kayla Sims. So I feel like everything about me is tied to The Sims. And I love this game. I think The Sims is a really bright spot in the gaming world. As you know, it's kind of hard to find inclusive and welcoming communities is within gaming. We are just different from most other games and especially most other major titles out there. And it just disgusts me to think of Jared Kushner getting his grubby little hands on our game. And the PIF actually already owns 10% of EA, and they have since 2021. I think they're really trying to diversify their investments, so this isn't the first time they've made a major investment in gaming, though it is the first time they've made a private sale like this. They're also already major investors in Nintendo, Take-Two, Capcom, Ubisoft, lots of other huge game companies. But where does this leave me? I don't know. I am going to keep playing The Sims. I'm gonna keep talking bad about The Sims and about EA when I need to. But again, this is my job, so it puts me in a really tough spot. I hate the idea of supporting them. Like, that just horrifies me. But I also think that it's good to draw attention to it and have like vocal pushback to it. And that's right now. I think it would be different in a different scenario. So if there were to be a world where the new owners were pushing back on diversity in The Sims or trying to make negative changes in that way, this would be a different conversation. But we just don't know that yet. We kind of just have to wait and see. So I'm obviously going to be keeping a close eye on it. And I should clarify, I am not an expert on this topic. I don't know anything about investments or private purchases of publicly traded companies. I literally play The Sims for a living. What I've been talking about here in this video is based on what I've been reading. But to be honest with you, this is the first time that I have ever really personally cared this much about a company being bought out. So I just haven't really read up on this subject too much until now. I am still learning, but I just wanted to talk out some of my concerns here because I know a lot of you are in the same boat. I'm gonna link some articles about it down below, but like I said earlier, it is really not hard to find information on. I am serious when I say this is like big news. Like, beyond gaming, beyond fans of EA games, this is big, major news. It really is unprecedented. And I guess just to wrap up my final thoughts, this feels devastating to me. It really scares me, and I have no idea what's going to come of it. We know it will be bad in some way, but it just feels like we're playing a waiting game to see how bad it will be. And I do know that some people think this might be a good thing, not because the buyers are horrible and conservative, though I guess some people might think that, but they're probably not watching this video. But some people think that with the company going private, they could make changes or spend money on things that are positive that they wouldn't be able to do if they had to rely on shareholders. I guess that's possible, but that's obviously not really my expectation here. But I don't know. Nobody knows. We just have to wait and see. I also saw some people hoping that the $55 billion would be invested into the games and like wondering how much of that money would go to The Sims. That's not what's happening here. They aren't investing the money into EA in that way. They are buying EA from its shareholders. So that $55 billion is to pay everyone who owns shares in EA. That'll be a mix of like big time investors like the PIF who owns 10%, but also honestly, even regular people own shares in EA. You as an individual might even own a share in EA. This deal will pay EA shareholders $210 per share. That's where the money goes, and that's why there's a $20 billion debt, because they have to pay off those shareholders. I don't think I'll make a video on this again unless something really big has changed, but in the future I will share news about it on my other social media and like on the YouTube community tab page here just to keep you updated. And obviously feel free to chat about it in the comments. I think it can be helpful to talk out these things with people who are having similar big emotions. We're all trying to work through this and process it somehow. It's a really big change, and it's hard to make decisions on what we're going to do because we just don't know yet. And as of recording this, the deal hasn't even gone through yet. But this just sucks, and my heart really goes out to everyone who works at EA. If I am feeling this horrible, I can't even imagine how horrible you must be feeling and how scared you must be feeling. But I think I'm gonna wrap up this video right here, and I'm gonna catch you all tomorrow, okay? Bye, everybody.